A Hearths Warming to Remember, written by Mr. Devastation101. Rainbow Dash awoke from her midday nap, high in the sky on her solitary cloud. Rainbow had a perfect view of Ponyville from here. She stretched her legs as she stood up, then her wings, and then sooner or later, she looked down upon a snow-covered town. It was certainly a lovely day, for winter standards. The sun was shining, and there was barely a cloud in the sky. All the better for Rainbow, who doesn't seem in the mood for weather patrol today. She'd much rather spend time with Applejack, whom she had a crush on since the day they met, all those years ago. Normally, Rainbow wouldn't have thought about any pony this way, but Applejack, she was an exception. Her beautiful golden mane, her gorgeous emerald eyes, that thick country accent, all of those details seemed to drive Rainbow over the edge. Rainbow sighed as she thought of Applejack, and then gave a small smile. She just had to tell her how she felt. But how? Wait a sec, Rainbow said to herself. It's Hearths Warming Eve tomorrow. She grinned even wider as she realized what she could do. I know. And soon she silently took off from her cloud to look for Applejack. Applejack kicked the tree as hard as she could, causing all the snow to fall on the ground. Finish! She had been out since before dawn, bucking the snow out of every single tree in the orchard one by one. Sure, it was pretty cold outside, but she could take it. Or so she thought. It was truly the coldest day Ponyville has ever seen. It was pretty well below the average winter temperatures, and it seems that the only protection from the cold that AG brought with her was a scarf, also counting on the excess exercise to keep her warm. Now, her legs were shivering uncontrollably. She definitely felt like she was going to pass out. Her entire body was numb from ear to hoof. Best be getting home now, she said to herself, her breath foggy in the cold air. She was certainly well over an hour's walk from the farmhouse, but unfortunately, she might not even make it. She soon started to trot in the direction of her home, and unfortunately slipped a couple of times. The third time she slipped, she fell, and she couldn't have the strength to get up. She laid in the snow, awaiting Death's cold hands to come and drag her to the underworld. AJ! It was female, and it sounded like it came from above her. She tried to look up, but collapsed to the ground, unconscious. AJ! Rainbow Dash watched her friend collapse to the ground. She landed next to Applejack, who was laying by her side. Her eyes closed and her breathing slow and shallow. Rainbow Dash nudged Applejack's shoulder, and her skin was cold to the touch. She placed a hoof on Applejack's neck to check for her pulse. It was there, but her heart rate was slowing. No, Rainbow yelled, picking up and hugging Applejack, who wouldn't respond. AJ, don't go, not now! Rainbow Dash started to cry. Then, sooner or later, Rainbow realized that the hospital wasn't too far away from here. She could easily make it there with no time. She carefully picked up Applejack and sped for the hospital. When Applejack opened her eyes, all she could see was a big, white blur. But as her vision swam into focus, all she could see was just the lights on the ceiling. Wait a minute. Ceiling? As she focused more on what she could see, she was on a room with white walls. And she was laying on a bed of some sort. She tried to turn her head to look around, but it hurt her to move, even to breathe. She was very cold. So cold. She started to speak, but her voice was weak and raspy. She shuddered a bit. Hello? She said. Hello, Applejack, a soft female voice replied, and then Nurse Redheart's head poked into Applejack's field of vision from the left. Nurse Redheart? What's going on? Where am I? Don't worry, Applejack, you're in the hospital. You're nearly froze to death, but your friend Rainbow Dash got you here just in time, Redheart explained. Rainbow Dash? Applejack asked, relieved. Where is she? Right here, Rainbow Dash said, appearing next to Redheart. How you doing, AJ? The usual, Applejack replied. Just a bit cold, that's all. Nurse Redheart soon put a hoof to her earpiece and looked away for a moment. All right away, she said, turning to Rainbow Dash. It seems that I have to go attend for an emergency. Can you keep an eye on Applejack for me? No problem, Rainbow said. Thanks, I'll be back in a few minutes, Redheart said before trotting out the door. Rainbow Dash sat on the bed next to Applejack, who slowly turned her head to follow her. You doing okay? Rainbow said, looking down on Applejack with a concerned look in her eyes. Yeah, I'm fine, just hurts a bit to move. Good, Rainbow said. She needed to tell Applejack what was going on in her head, and she might not get a better chance than she has right now. AJ? Yeah? You remember the first day we met, right? Of course I do, Dash. Don't think I'll ever forget it. You were racing some big shot colt who had a bigger ego than you. It just so happened I was crossing the road at the same time you two came speeding down like a couple of bullets. He missed me fine, but you crashed headlong onto me. Scared me half to death, and nearly broke my back. But by the way, you did apologize. I knew we end up to be good friends. She smiled. Somehow. Yep, Rainbow said. But there's something else. On that day, I met a filly who would take a special place in my heart. Oh, shucks, Sugar Cube, Applejack said. Hold on, I'm not done. I became good friends with that filly. I watched her grow into the mare she is today, and with each passing day, I loved that mare more and more. She glanced at Applejack, who didn't seem to grasp on Rainbow's meaning. I love you, Applejack. She gave a moment for Applejack to sink it in for a minute. Applejack's emotions were a blur inside her head. Ya love me? She said, still trying to regain control of her senses. Yeah, that's what I said, Rainbow confirmed. Wow, I don't know what to say, Applejack stammered. Then don't say anything. Rainbow leaned down and pressing her lips against Applejack's. At first, Applejack was afraid, but Rainbow Dash's warmth spread from her lips to her chest, and she closed her eyes and kissed Rainbow back. She wrapped her forelegs around Rainbow Dash, who leaned in closer, pressing their bodies together. Rainbow slid her left hind leg in between Applejack's. They laid there on the bed, kissing and holding each other. Ahem, a voice said. Rainbow Dash and Applejack break apart with a smack, and turned to see who it was. A few feet away, Nurse Redheart stood, a shocked but serious expression on her face. Am I interrupting something? Redheart asked, a little embarrassed. No, nothing, Rainbow Dash said, moving to get up, but Applejack held her down. Actually, you kinda are, AJ said, a hint of annoyance in her voice. Well, I'm sorry, Redheart said, backing away slowly. But I need to speak to Rainbow Dash. Alone. All right, Rainbow said, pushing off Applejack, who released her grasp. She slid off the bed and looked at Redheart. What is it? She asked. In the hall, please, Redheart said, turning around and starting for the hall, motioning for Rainbow Dash to follow. Once in the hall, Rainbow looked intently into Nurse Redheart's eyes. What? It's about your friend, Applejack. What about her? Rainbow asked. She's suffering from a very severe case of hypothermia. Her heart is failing. It's a wonder how she's even awake right now, the nurse pony said. What are you saying? Rainbow looked puzzled. What I'm saying is, she's dying. Rainbow was struck dumb by that. Her eyes widened, her ears flopped, and her jaw hung loosely. In Redheart's eyes, she can see sympathy and sorrow. She's dying? Rainbow said, trying to regain control over her senses. I'm sorry. She may have 2 hours at most. She had a saddened expression on her face. Are you sure? She seems fine, Rainbow said, not wanting to accept the truth. On the outside, yes, but her body temperature is way too low for her heart to keep beating for long. Rainbow Dash started to water up, her vision blurry from the tears that she knew would be pouring down her face. Is there anything you can do? She pleaded. Nurse Redheart scrunched up her face for a minute, thinking. Maybe, if we could raise her body temperature to a suitable level, she might survive it. But I have to do it slowly. There are heaters inside her bed. Those might do the trick. Please, Rainbow sobbed. I can't lose her. No pony can lose her. Nurse Redheart sighed, then said, I'll try. Thank you, Rainbow Dash said, beneath her tears, which were now tears of hope rather than sorrow. Redheart nodded, then went back into Applejack's room, motioning for Rainbow to wait by the door. Applejack saw the nurse pony entering her room and sat up as best as she could. Where's Rainbow? Applejack asked. She's out in the hall. What's going on? I'm going to try something that might save her life. Just relax. She trotted up to the bed and crouched down to look at the control panel. She flipped a small switch that controlled the heaters, and the heaters came to life with a small hum. She glanced at Applejack, and said, "Please lay down." And so Applejack did. She instantly felt the warmth of their heaters. She closed her eyes as the pleasurable warmth heated her freezing body. Redheart paid close attention to Applejack's heart monitor, which was displayed along with her other vital signs on a small screen on the wall. She watched as the motions displayed by the heart monitor changed from unsafe and erratic spasms to a regular heartbeat. Redheart sighed in relief and turned off the heaters. Applejack opened her eyes again and sat up to see what was going on. "What is it, Nurse Redheart?" she asked, confused to why the nurse had turned off the heaters. "It worked. Your heart rate returned to normal. You're going to live," Nurse Redheart said. "What? Live? Just what in the hell are you talking about?" Applejack demanded. "You see, your heart was beating at an irregular and highly dangerous pace due to the lack of body heat. If I didn't just heat you up like that, you would have died in less than an hour," Redheart explained calmly. "Oh. Well, in that case, I guess I owe you a thank you." "Just doing my job," Redheart said, with a casual grin. Then she turned to the door. "Rainbow Dash, you can come in now." The Cyan Pegasus went through the door. "Did you do it? Did you save her?" Rainbow said, worry shaking her voice. "See for yourself." Redheart stepped aside to let Rainbow have a clear view of Applejack. "AJ!" Rainbow almost screamed, rushing over and hugging Applejack. Rainbow Dash looked at Applejack in the eyes. AJ moved in before Rainbow could protest, and the two shared a passionate kiss. Redheart just smiled as she slowly crept out of the room, closing the door behind her as quietly as she could. Applejack broke the kiss and made eye contact with Rainbow. "So," she said, "how long exactly have you been crushing on me?" "Since the day we met," Rainbow whispered, a small smile spreading on her lips. The end. Hello, Airy Pony. Snogwritts here. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, be sure to leave a like. And, if you haven't already, subscribe for more readings like this one every Saturday. Alright, that's it for me. This is Snogwritts, signing out.